Edelak,
I'm here.
Solomon,
Here.
McCarrigan, here, Stricker.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For public information, a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is available for review. No other business shall be transacted at the special meeting unless all council members are present to consent and the city council declares the existence of an emergency. So public hearings. Council to conduct a public hearing set for this date at 12 p.m. for the purpose of hearing support, opposition, criticism, suggestions, or observations of taxpayers relating to the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Let me just go. Okay. Okay. So fiscal year 26 budgeted government-wide total revenues are $39,087,540, as opposed to fiscal year 25 budgeted government-wide total revenues were $39,984,670. Fiscal year 26 budgeted revenues, general fund only, is $11,997,719, with a budgeted increase in property tax allocation to the general fund and NPPD lease revenues. The fiscal year 25 budgeted revenues for the general fund were only $11,759,965. Fiscal year 26 budgeted sales tax revenues, $8,110,000. Fiscal year 25 budgeted sales tax revenues, $8,110,000. Fiscal year 26 budgeted NPPD lease revenues, $3,590,839. And fiscal year 25 budgeted NPPD lease revenues was $3,486,525. Fiscal year 26 budgeted government-wide total expenditures at $58,735,982. This includes capital expenditures of $10,896,000, debt service of $904,489, contingencies of $4,450,000. For fiscal year 25, we had budgeted government-wide total expenditures $54,554,520, which included capital expenditures of $12,306,501, debt service of $2,203,807, and contingencies of $4,350,000. So fiscal year 26 budgeted total operating expenses, which excludes the debt, capital expenditures, and contingencies, is $42,485,493. The fiscal year 25 budgeted total operating expenses, excluding debt, capital expenditures, and contingencies, was $35,694,212. Fiscal year 26 budget expenses, general fund at $15,118,549. This increase is due mostly to a transfer to the cemetery for operating purposes, moved to general fund from cemetery perpetual care fund of $350,000. In fiscal year 25 budgeted expenses, the general fund was $12,731,249. Fiscal year 26 budgeted operating expense general fund without capital improvements transferred to cemetery or contingency was $14,018,549, and budgeted for fiscal year 25 operating expense general fund without capital improvements or contingency was $12,059,249. Fiscal year 26 budgeted FTEs that are authorized is 136, and that was also fiscal year 25 budgeted FTEs at 136. Do you have anything you want to add, Kevin or Wayne, anybody?
No.
Okay.
I have one for you, Kevin. So at the top, the 25-26 budgets. So this year you're projecting it'll probably go down some on overall
No, it's actually
revenues.
7.8%. Our overall budget's going to go up to 58 million from 54 million.
Oh, okay.
And that'll be, let's see, That's the 58 million numbers in here.
I see, yep, down here. Okay,
Yes. So that's a 7.8% increase.
I think he's referring to the revenues, Kevin.
at the
The
top,
first line, he's referring to the revenues going down.
Okay.
Yeah.
By $900,000 revenues.
Just a little more realistic on some of those, like franchise fees, things like that we haven't quite hit all the way. We left sales tax the same, property tax will be the exact same as last year, so those didn't increase or anything like that. So it was just being a little more realistic, like hotel occupation tax hasn't hit the last couple of years, so those were, it's minute, but it was just being a little more realistic on those numbers.
and we're guesstimating, cause some of that, like sales tax, could be all over the place, where it's gonna end up, yeah,
Subjective, so.
that makes sense.
And I think that was your first question on the top, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are going to
The top two
actually,
lines.
Throwing it out there,
Budgeted
same
going
down, yeah, okay,
Sorry about that, misunderstood.
okay.
Any other questions from anyone, comments?
there might just be a couple of editorial things. And I don't know if this is the place to do that or not, but I will anyway. Is, I think on page 7, when I was looking at just kind of the personnel and stuff, I think the park supervisor might now be at a director level, if I'm remembering. It shows the park supervisor, Matt Carpenter. Is he more salaried as a director level now?
Matt Carpenter is the
Parks
director
and
of
Rec,
parks,
okay.
so he's a department head.
Okay.
Trevor Satter is the supervisor.
Okay. Then I had somebody point out to me on page 20, there's a revenue, page 20, I'll just get to it. There was a question about the points on the graph, the operating cash reserve requirement versus actual cash in a general fund. Are the numbers right, or is the graph right? Because they don't, for example, the 9/30/21 is 9,299,513, and it's lower on the graph than the 9,068 and the 9/30/22. Does that make sense?
I see
So
what
the
you
curve's
mean.
just a little bit off, and I presume the numbers are correct, just the curve.
Numbers are correct, but when I pulled that onto Word from Excel, all those numbers were running onto each other, and so I grabbed the wrong number and put down at the bottom, is what happened.
Just
It's a
one-
simple fix, the numbers are right, they're just inverted.
Okay, just want to make sure the numbers were right and the graph was maybe not, so.
Makes sense.
Kind of related to the budget as we're doing this, I think, we're having a request for some funds for, out of the Keno funds. And I think that that fund is pretty large, and over time, we should probably consider, in my opinion, process to reduce that, and not be in the business of collecting and keeping cash. That's supposed to be for community betterment and get it out in the community. So at some point, I would be really welcome a process to do that in a competitive process, not just necessarily those that happen to know about it or read about it. Like, it's kind of like normal grants where you have a process where you open it up, a period to get in, plead your case and, so to speak, application, and then have certain parameters around it. So I think that would be something that we should do.
We're actually working on that, Jerry, and we will have a policy and an application fee. So there will be a process. And I agree with you. I think that those monies are meant to be out in the community. We don't need to in our account.
Okay. I'm just kind of going down the line of a couple notes. I think on page 54, the LV 840 says it sunsets October 1st of 25. I think that's probably just, we didn't catch up with it's now 35, I think, isn't it? After the last election.
It actually sunsets on September 30th, and then the new plan starts October 1.
Yeah, but it's not gonna go away on October 1st.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was voted in,
In the, you renew the two, right?
renew the two.
Okay. Then it just seems, so our policy, as I understand, is 3 months of reserves, or basically 25%. But is that just the operating fund or the overall?
That has been the policy of the council, is to have 3 months of reserves available. That, we don't go below that.
Yeah.
We are near max on our reserves.
Well, on some of the pages I was reading 69% and 42%. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I don't think I gave the page, it might be on 83 and 4 maybe.
83 and 4.
No.
Are you talking about the state budget?
Oh, yeah, the workshop, the worksheets, I think.
At the end of everything there?
What page would that be? I highlighted it somewhere and I'm not finding it.
Is that it on the screen? Is that where you're
I
at,
think it's
Jerry?
71. 74, sorry, 74. Scroll down just a little bit there, Taylor, to the bottom here. Is that the 69%? Is that what you're,
Yes.
right there?
Yep.
And then the next page is page 2A, and that's where you're down to 42%. That is the state. The state allows you to keep 50% reserves in there. And then page 2A, the cash reserves, those are the funds that allow you to exceed the 50%. So we're allowed to be at 50% on that first page, we're 69%, page 2, we get down to 42%. Those are the funds like our ARPA that we have to hold on to and we haven't spent yet. The capital projects in our debt service fund, we're allowed to hang on to those. Those go over our reserves, we go over our reserves with those. And then we're self-insured, so our health insurance reserve account is also a big one to use for that too. So when you take all of those out, we're allowed, our actual cash that we have, we're allowed to have 50% of our operating budget, and then we have those exemptions.
This is an additional.
Yeah, those are our exemptions to those. So we have 69% in reserves, and then that is our justification for why we're 90% over the 50% the state allows.
With that you just showed,
Yeah,
okay.
that's supposed to be a 50%. Page 2A allows you your exemptions basically to get you down to 50%.
Okay, that makes sense. So, all right. Still 50% seems like a lot.
So we have, by the time you take out those funds, we actually have 42% of our total operating budget reserves sitting in cash.
Greater than 25.
Yeah.
So maybe we ought to consider that as we go forward. I don't know. It's just, it's well above the policy.
Consider it how?
Well, I don't, again, I think it's kind of like with the Keno funds, we're not really in the business to accumulate and collect cash, and we're 17% above our policy.
You know, Jerry, with the way that we're doing things, we rarely bond a project.
Okay.
You know, our debt is nothing, and that was a decision made by a previous council, was that we were gonna pay cash when we can.
Okay, sure.
And I agree with that. I do. It saved us a lot in finance fees. We don't have a tremendous amount of debt. So I think it served us very well.
I agree with paying cash too,
And you
so.
can't plan on getting the same amount of sales tax revenues. I mean, you have to have a certain amount in reserve, because you don't want to be put in that position where you don't have cash
Yeah.
available. So,
I guess my only point was a policy was developed and we're exceeding it substantially. And I like the idea of paying, and I understand the fluctuation of sales tax and stuff, but I just think when we have a policy, I like to follow it if we can, but if there's something that makes sense, great. So I agree with the cash spending, so let's prioritize projects and maybe do
You know,
some.
and another thing, Jerry, that really needs to be considered is when we invest those cash reserves, that helps keep our tax ask down.
Yeah.
So that's why we have the ability to have the second lowest mill levy in the state. So I think what we're doing is working very well. And
I don't disagree.
and I don't know of a project that was important to us that we haven't done.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of this stuff. I'm just trying to align policy with practice or change the
Yeah,
policy.
no, I understand.
Well, is it a policy or is it just our practice generally?
You know, it was,
It's
some
described
years
as a
ago,
policy.
it was in a meeting, decided that we were gonna keep 3 months
Yeah.
as our reserve. We weren't gonna go below that. That was decided at a time that things weren't going as well as they are right now. And we were probably getting close. And that's where they
Okay.
drew the line and
Like at a minimum.
at a minimum, and then I remember being asked to cut 2% out of our budgets. So,
Well, so that changes things. If the policy was a minimum of 25, we're still following policy.
Yeah.
That's my only point. I want to follow the best I can.
Yes, it is a
What
minimum.
was established.
Yeah.
And we're not above the state's 50, obviously.
Right.
So,
We're good.
words matter sometimes.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have something, Matt?
So on LB 840, we've got a pretty healthy account. This next year, can we look at maybe opening it up to some other businesses?
We are going to meet with them this week. Sheree is going to propose adding daycare to the plan.
Yeah.
And then we'll discuss maybe increasing that retail. Right now, retail is $10,000 and it's in the BID.
Yeah.
So, we'll have those conversations. Now, there's certain things, if you change in your plan, you're gonna have to take it back to a vote of the people. So there's only certain
Yeah.
things in the plan that you can adjust, so to speak. So
Okay.
But childcare is an allowable.
it is, it's just not in our
Yeah,
plan,
yeah.
but we can do that.
can do that,
and
yeah.
We'll talk about that this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you guys always talk about like affordable housing. I don't know if that's even an option to promote construction a little bit.
Not with LBA 40
Okay.
funds. I haven't figured out a way to do that. You know, if we put in infrastructure with LBA 40 funds, then that has to be occupied by an eligible or qualified business doing an eligible activity.
Okay.
So there's not much wiggle room, and trust me.
It's kinda
I've been-
tight by
I've been
statute.
trying to find it, but it's very
Okay.
well defined.
And I guess finally, I would just say that it's probably worth pointing out to kind of the common person that our tax rate, our levy rate is going down by 8%. That it mostly due to the increase in property values. But if the property values go up and the rate doesn't go down, it's still so they're level. So it's not, so that's a good thing is all I'm saying.
Yeah, our mill levy is gonna go down.
Yeah.
Again this year. Our tax ask, our property tax ask is the same as it was last year, exactly. So we adjusted our mill levy down. It's gonna be 0.178, down from 0.196. Now, when you look at the state worksheet, it's gonna look like it's higher than that.
It does.
But the BID mill is added to the 178. So.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, but our general mill levy will be 170. So, and that's something to brag about, I think, too.
Yeah,
So,
and then it just is also probably worth pointing out, we're a small piece of the total property ask, along with the schools and the NRD and the airport and stuff. So
Right.
while ours might seem like there's no difference, it's because it's a smaller piece.
Yeah, yeah. We have the luxury of relying a lot on sales tax.
Yes.
So,
Anything else for the public hearing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, McCarrigan,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Stricker,
Yes.
Vidlac,
Yes,
Solomon.
Yes.
meeting adjourned.